Double Star by Robert Heinlein. Copyright 1956 by Robert Heinlein. This unabridged recording of the reading of Double Star was published by arrangement with Spectrum Literary Agency and was produced in 1999 by Blackstone Audiobooks Incorporated, which holds the copyright thereto. Neither this recording nor any portion of it may be reproduced or used for any purpose without prior written authorization from Blackstone Audiobooks. This book is read by Lloyd James. This book is 159 pages long. Double Star by Robert Heinlein. The following material appears on the book's back cover. Outer Space Hoax. A jobless actor in 2100 cages a drink from a space pilot and finds himself shanghaied to Mars for the most important and dangerous performance of his whole career. The role? Doubling for a missing leader, the most loved and most threatened Earthman on the planet. The stakes? Peace with the Martians, if he succeeds, and colonial union with the democratic interworld empire. The risk? Quick death if Martian foes detect the ruse, or lifelong pretense if the politician never reappears. In Double Star, you can smell and feel and practically taste the future. Chicago Tribune. Robert Heinlein. Scientist, engineer, and one of the most highly regarded science fiction writers today, is the author of best-selling signet titles like Assignment in Eternity, Revolt in 2100, and The Puppet Masters. The following dedication appears in the book. To Henry and Catherine Kuttner. 1. If a man walks in dressed like a hick and acting as if he owned the place, he's a spaceman. It is a logical necessity. His profession makes him feel like boss of all creation. When he sets foot dirt-side, he is slumming among the peasants. As for his sartorial inelegance, a man who is in uniform 9/10 of the time, and is more used to deep space than to civilization, can hardly be expected to know how to dress properly. He is a sucker for the alleged tailors who swarm around every spaceport peddling ground outfits. I could see that this big-boned fellow had been dressed by Omar the tent-maker. Padded shoulders that were too big to start with, shorts cut so that they crawled up his hairy thighs as he sat down, a ruffled chemise that might have looked well on a cow. But I kept my opinion to myself, and bought him a drink with my last half-imperial, considering it an investment. Spacemen being the way they are about money. "Hot jets," I said as we touched glasses. He gave me a quick glance. That was my initial mistake in dealing with Dak Broadbent. Instead of answering, "Clear space," or "safe grounding," as he should have, he looked me over and said softly, "A nice sentiment, but to the wrong man. I've never been out." That was another good place to keep my mouth shut. Spacemen did not often come to the bar of Casa Mañana. It was not their sort of hotel, and it's miles from the port. When one shows up in ground clothes, seeks a dark corner of the bar, and objects to being called a spaceman, that's his business. I had picked that spot myself so that I could see without being seen. I owed a little money here and there at the time, nothing important, but embarrassing. I should have assumed that he had his reasons too, and respected them. But my vocal cords lived their own life, wild and free. "Don't give me that, shipmate," I replied. "If you're a groundhog, I'm mayor of Tycho City. I'll wager you've done more drinking on Mars," I added, noticing the cautious way he lifted his glass, a dead giveaway of low-gravity habits. than you've ever done on Earth." "Keep your voice down," he cut in without moving his lips. "What makes you sure that I am a voyageur? You don't know me." "Sorry," I said. "You can be anything you like, but I've got eyes. You gave yourself away the minute you walked in." He said something under his breath. "How?" "Don't let it worry you. I doubt if anyone else noticed. But I see things other people don't see." I handed him my card, a little smugly, perhaps. "There is only one Lorenzo Smythe, the one-man stock company. Yes, I'm the great Lorenzo. Stereo, canned opera, legit. Pantomimist and mimicry artist extraordinary." He read my card and dropped it into a sleeve pocket, which annoyed me. Those cards had cost me money, genuine imitation hand engraving. "I see your point," he said quietly. "But what was wrong with the way I behaved?" "I'll show you," I said. "I'll walk to the door like a groundhog and come back the way you walk. Watch." I did so, making the trip back in a slightly exaggerated version of his walk to allow for his untrained eye, feet sliding softly along the floor as if it were deck plates, weight carried forward and balanced from the hips, hands a trifle forward and clear of the body, ready to grasp. There are a dozen other details which can't be set down in words. The point is, you have to be a spaceman when you do it, with a spaceman's alert body and unconscious balance. You have to live it. A city man blunders along on smooth floors all his life, steady floors with Earth-normal gravity, and will trip over a cigarette paper, like as not. Not so a spaceman. "See what I mean?" I asked, slipping back into my seat. "I'm afraid I do," he admitted sourly. "Did I walk like that?" "Yes." Maybe I should take lessons from you." "You could do worse," I admitted. He sat there looking me over, then started to speak, changed his mind, and wiggled a finger at the bartender to refill our glasses. When the drinks came, he paid for them, drank his, and slid out of his seat all in one smooth motion. "Wait for me," he said quietly. With a drink he had bought sitting in front of me, I could not refuse. Nor did I want to. He interested me. I liked him. Even on 10 minutes acquaintance. He was the sort of big, ugly, handsome galoot that women go for and men take orders from. He threaded his way gracefully through the room and past a table of 4 Martians near the door. I didn't like Martians. I did not fancy having a thing that looks like a tree trunk topped off by a sun helmet claiming the privileges of a man. I did not like the way they grew pseudo-limbs. It reminded me of snakes crawling out of their holes. I did not like the fact that they could look all directions at once without turning their heads, if they had had heads, which of course they don't, and I could not stand their smell. Nobody could accuse me of race prejudice. I didn't care what a man's color, race, or religion was, but men were men, whereas Martians were things. They weren't even animals to my way of thinking. I'd rather have had a warthog around me any day. Permitting them in restaurants and bars used by men struck me as outrageous. But there was the treaty, of course, so what could I do? These 4 had not been there when I came in, or I would have whiffed them. For that matter, they certainly could not have been there a few moments earlier when I had walked to the door and back. Now, there they were, standing on their pedestals around a table, pretending to be people. I had not even heard the air conditioning speed up.